Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have a collection of Gran Canaria Mangos. Please meet the Osteen, and last but not least, the probably Osteen. Yeah, when it comes to mangoes in Gran Canaria, the Osteen reigns supreme. That's really strange because on the neighboring island of Tenerife, it's almost impossible to find. When I was in Tenerife, in the north of Tenerife, in Puerto, and also in the capital of Tenerife, in Santa Cruz, pretty much all the mangoes, they looked like some sort of, Kate, Granny Atkins, Tommy Atkins like stuff. Basically, they all looked like Kate. I would have called most of them Kate. There were a couple like Gomera and Pico del Oro. But the only time I found Osteen in Tenerife, I looked at the box and of course it said Granada. So the subtropical fruit paradise of Tenerife is importing mangoes grown on the European continent. That's crazy. So yeah, pretty much no Osteen in Tenerife. Osteen is the main mango variety of Spain, so it's the main mango variety on the continent and also in Gran Canaria, but for some reason not in Tenerife. Also, those Kate mangoes in Tenerife were not so good. Well, Kate is generally quite a bland mango compared to other varieties. It needs a lot of sun and it needs to be picked at the right time to be tasty. And the Kate in Tenerife were usually very disappointing. Well, also I have to admit they had a couple weeks of really strong rain before I arrived there, so not much sun, okay? But the other varieties like Pico del Oro and Gomera were quite tasty even in Tenerife. Here in Gran Canaria, it's quite impossible to find anything but Osteen. There is a shop here in the village of Aldea that sells Kate, but pretty much everywhere else they sell Osteen. And when I ask the farmers, they say, yeah, they grow Osteen, and they sometimes also grow Gomera. So let's look at those mangoes. A couple days ago, I bought some mangoes in the supermarket. They all looked like this. Why do they look like this? The mango season here is basically over. We have Christmas now. The mango season was in November. Basically, the mangoes you get nowadays are mangoes picked while still green in November and stored in a fridge. So I bought them while they were still absolutely hard. They ripened in my room. They are generally not bad. I don't want to complain. Those mangoes are definitely better than no mangoes at all. But then on Christmas Eve, a farmer called Tony gave me 48 mangoes and also a couple local avocados, a really strange local variety. But let's talk about the mangoes. Well, he had one of the highest farms in the valley of Mogan, which is the most famous place for mango growing in all of Gran Canaria. It has the best climate for mangoes. So I guess his mangoes were ripe a little bit later. And for some reason he didn't harvest them, so they were lying underneath the tree, so I could collect a giant bag full of mangoes. I collected just as much as I could carry. I mean, I'm a big, strong man, and when it comes to mangoes, I can carry a lot, but I was at my limits there. So, I asked him about the varieties of the mangoes, and unlike most other people, he actually had an idea what he's growing. He said, this is Osteen, and he said, this is also Osteen, which surprised me because, they look like Osteen. They smell like Osteen. I can totally believe those Osteen. But this here, an Osteen which is completely yellow, just with a little hint of pink on some of the fruit, which is not elongated like this, but quite plump and oval. For me, this would be a particularly big and good Gomera. So, folks, you can give me your opinion on, is this here an Osteen? With those here, I'm pretty sure they are Osteen. Is this here an Osteen, or is this some big and nice Gomera? Gomera here is mostly being used as rootstock, but there are also some named Gomera clones with really good fruit, and this seems to be one of them. Look at the size of this thing. I think he might have harvested the really big Osteen and left the small ones. I don't know why. Most of his Osteen were really small, and most of his, what I would call Gomera, what he called Osteen, is really big. Now let's taste them. Let's start with this one. I mean, look at it. As I said, it was picked unripe on purpose. It was stored for probably over a month in a fridge, and then it ripened in my room in about 5 days. Not bad. It's quite sweet. It has some flavor. For a mango that looks like nothing, and definitely doesn't look like anything an Osteen is supposed to look like, it's good enough. And for a mango you get out of season. Now, the 3 ripened Osteen, which ripened completely and then dropped to the ground. It has this smell of overripe Osteen, which is quite overwhelming, which can be actually too much when the Osteen is really overripe. But here, yeah, it's still good. Yeah. A really ripe Osteen. Much sweeter than the fridge Osteen. So this is much sweeter. It also has 100 times more flavor. This one, not bad for a mango out of season. Definitely, I would recommend you to buy it if you have nothing else, but compared to this, it pales. So this is a good mango, quite unexpectedly when you look at it and when you know how it was treated. This is a supreme mango. Now let's look at this, which I would call some giant Gomera cultivar. Very different from the Osteen. This one does not have much flavor. Funny, I had a couple of mangoes from this tree with a lot more flavor. Not much flavor, but a lot of sweetness. The flesh is already turning into a dark translucent jelly, but it has not started rotting at all. So yeah, which one of those mangoes is the best? Good question. Well, of those 3, this one is definitely the best. It's the sweetest and it's the only one with a really overwhelming flavor. However, I must say that from this tree there were a couple ones which were even more aromatic. I don't know why this is not aromatic. It's perfectly ripe. It fell on the ground after being perfectly ripe. It is sweet, but not as sweet as some other mangoes from the tree. Maybe the reason is that it's already, yeah, the cells are already dying and it's turning into a jelly inside. Well, this here is still quite intact. It's possible that the sweetness and the flavor have suffered a lot, have suffered a little bit. It's still a very good mango, don't get me wrong, but in this case the typical Osteen is the winner. Well, I guess the folks here in Gran Canaria, they are right, growing mostly Osteen. Yeah, so folks, again, Osteen and maybe Gomera from Gran Canaria. A good mango, an excellent mango, and an absolutely superior mango. Well, yeah, if you see a farm where the mangoes are lying on the ground and if there is a farmer around, beg him to be allowed to pick the mangoes from the ground. They usually don't do it because you cannot sell them anymore when they're overripe. Beg the farmer to buy his mangoes off the ground. I have done this a couple times. I usually got them either for free or just for a piece of cake, and they were always superior. I cannot stress that enough yet. Don't go to the farms and steal their mangoes. Those people worked hard for their mangoes. But go there and ask them to pick the mangoes which are lying on the ground. You will never be disappointed. So folks, those were some mangoes grown on the island of Gran Canaria. Please tell me if in your opinion this is Osteen or some of the big Gomera varieties. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the islands of Gran Canaria. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.